Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've filmed a video. It's been about 2 weeks, which is why my channel has not had a lot of content on it lately. I just kind of went through a little slump where one week I was talking to my husband all week long because he's on deployment and so I can't see him. So he was in port and I got to talk to him a bunch. And then another week I was reading constantly. And I realized I have not done my wrap up yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my wrap up now for you guys. So it is the 13th of June, so we're like halfway through the month already. And I have a few books to tell you about. So first things first, I did try to do some participation in the Asian readathon that Read with Cindy decided to do. So I have a few books that I read for the Asian readathon. It wasn't all I read this month. It was just a couple of things I read this month. I'm gonna pull out my list because I, as well, has not been doing much for my channel. I also have not been keeping very good track on my bullet journal. I have a bullet journal that's just for reading and I have not touched it in like 3 weeks. So I'm a little behind on everything and I need to use Goodreads to get my lists out. Okay, so the 3 books that I finished for the Asian readathon were Battle Royale, which was a Japanese translated fiction, and it was amazing. So Battle Royale is the basis of a lot of games now. There is a manga series for it. I actually bought a manga from Book Outlet that was a Battle Royale based one. It's like Fairy Tail, which is my daughter's favorite manga series, and Battle Royale mixed together. So I figured that was something that me and her could bond over once it gets here. But so Battle Royale is about this, the specificities of where it belongs is a little bit hazy. It sounds like it's just basically East Asia and based on a political issue, kind of like Hunger Games had, where they would do the reaping and have one boy and one girl from each of the groups come and fight to death. Okay, well, it's something similar to that, except for they would pick an entire class out of the basic population. Each school had the ability to get picked about once every other year because they picked 50 classes per year to go through this. They didn't televise any of it, but they would tell you who got picked and the outcome of the battle. And it's all must die so one can live type of situation. And we follow one class. And we see them going on a field trip and then their bus gets hijacked and they get to go into the Battle Royale. It is really gruesome and really bloody. I listened to it on audiobook because I couldn't find a physical copy of it. I eventually did find a physical copy of it. I bought it through thrift books and hopefully it'll be here in the near future. The next one I read was The Prince and the Dressmaker. I have it written down somewhere what each of them is, but I don't remember. I think this one was Chinese. They're all different. I did 3 different books and each book had a different background to it. I want to say this one was Chinese, but it's about this gender fluid prince whose female side likes to dress up in pretty dresses, and he finds this amazing dressmaker that has made dresses for him, and they have this sweet little bonding experience while they work together, and it was extremely cute, and there's a little bit of a love story in there, and it was really, really sweet. I liked it a lot. The last one is Sea Prayer, and that one I also bought from thrift books, and hopefully that one will also be here in the near future. But it is this beautiful prayer about the refugees leaving the war-torn areas and going over the sea, and how many of the boats don't make it. And I will be sure to show off the book when it gets here because it is just so beautiful. The watercolor is beautiful. I did a read with me type of situation. I got it from my library, and it was literally like they would show you the page and they'd read it to you. And so you got to hear this extremely lyrical poem read to you while you looked at the pictures. And I think that really added another level to it. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on these three, then go watch my vlog that I have up for it. It's the reading/prom vlog, because it was that same week that I read everything. And I didn't do a whole, I just did that those are the only three that I did. I know that it was like a whole month long type of situation, but I only did it for the week. I was gonna do it longer, but I got sidetracked by other stuff. And then I also started the group read, but I have not finished it yet, the 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. Okay, so that's everything I read on my Kindle or I listened to. And then the last books I have are right here. For my nighttime reading, I finished the Goblet of Fire. This is the 4th Harry Potter book, and I don't think there needs to be anything said about this because it's Harry Potter. And now that my husband is gone, I have switched from Harry Potter to the Throne of Glass series. And when I originally read the Throne of Glass series, I read this at the end of the series because there is a lot of spoilers in here for the first couple of books. And so to try to minimize that, I have told my husband not to read this until after he finishes the book he's on, which is like the 4th book. But he hasn't picked it up in a while because longer series kind of throw him. And so when he left, I finished off this one and I started this one. So I am working my way through the Throne of Glass series while he's gone. And the first thing I said I listened to is this. I'm reading them in, not publication order, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm reading them in chronological order now. And then because I read them in more of a publication order before, because like I said, lots of spoilers. It's if your first time through Throne of Glass, don't start with these. If you don't know, Throne of Glass is basically about an assassin. It's a high fantasy, and I'm listening to it and I still can't tell you how to pronounce the name of the kingdom that they're in because I can never say it correctly. Ardlin, I don't know. Anyways, she's an assassin, and this was just a couple of prequels to the Throne of Glass series. I don't know what else to say about that. All right, and then the last 2 books that I read Outlander, and I absolutely adored this book. But this is probably one of the hardest books I've ever read as far as content and as far as just the generic reading of it. So normally I can read a book fairly fast. So this is my next book that I was going to tell you about, and it's not a very big book, but I can read that in a day. This took me all month long because it's just a slower read for me. So where I can normally read, I'm a slow reader, keep this in mind, where I can normally read 30 to 60 pages in an hour, depending on the book, this one takes me a couple of hours to read that much. I had one day where I was off of work and I literally read the book from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night and only read 250 pages. And the only breaks I took was to eat and go to the bathroom. So this is just, it's a difficult read, but it's such an amazing story. And since I read this, I've also watched the first season of Outlander. I had never read anything about it before, so I had no idea what this was about. The only thing I knew about this book was it's about a girl who touches a woman who touches a rock and gets thrown back 200 years. But I think that the Outlander books are so much more than that. It's so political. There's war, there is romance, there is some steamy sex scenes in this. I've noticed that this one has a lot more than the rest of the series does so far, especially right about the middle of it. There's quite a bit. But it's so much more than just a romance. It's a very interesting world. It's very political. It's about the Jacobites uprising in Scotland, where most of the Highland Highland way of life was kind of forever altered after the Jacobite uprising because they went through and they killed a bunch of clans, and it's like a historical stuff that they tell you in the book, but I haven't actually seen it happen yet. And I am working on the next book right now. But overall, it was amazing, and I highly recommend it, but be aware, it is quite a chunker, and it might take you a while to read. And the last book that I read this month was a total fluff book, and it's called Losing It by Cora Carmack. And this is about this girl who's in college, and she's still a virgin, and her friend is pressuring her to lose it. She meets this guy sitting in the back of a bar reading a book, and she's like, oh, I like him. And so she initiates a relationship with him, only to find out that he's her new teacher, because she is a senior in college and she is in her last semester, and they have a guest teacher covering that class, so that way they can teach her how to basically go from being an acting student to an actual actor. And guess who the guy is that she met at the bar? Her new professor. But it was super, super cute, and I really, really liked it, and I'm going to read the rest of the series. All right, so that's what I read in the month of May. It's only 7 books, but I feel like this chunker is the reason why it's only 7 books. It took me so much longer to read that than it normally does to read a book. But as far as the books that I am currently reading, we already had Smudathon, and I read 4 books for Smudathon. I read 1 cute one, 1 terrible one, and then 2 really good ones, which I will tell you about later. But as far as what I'm still currently reading, I'm working on Throne of Glass. I am probably halfway through it. I don't know, let's find out what chapter I'm on. Okay, so my thing says I'm on chapter 31, which I don't think I'm quite that far. I think I fell asleep before I hit that. So here's chapter 30. Chapter 30 is on page 222. And that's about a little more than halfway through. So that's probably about where I'm at right now with Throne of Glass. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. This is the second time I've gone through this series. I've gone through the Akatar series twice. This is my second time through Throne of Glass. And if you don't know about Selena being an assassin, I tried to explain it before and it came out really badly, so I'm not gonna try again. And then the other book that I am currently reading is Dragonfly and Amber. This is the second Outlander book. I've been reading it all month, and I'm there. It is very political at the moment, and I'm always slow when it comes to reading political books because I get confused easily. But I still absolutely adore it, and I'm still looking forward to finishing it. I'm hoping I'll finish it this week, so that way I can start season 2 come Tuesday. So we'll see. But yeah, almost done with that, and then I am still working on 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, which I don't have the physical copy of. I am listening to it on Scribd. I did buy a physical copy from Book Outlet, but it's not here yet. Just like everything else I buy, it takes forever for things to get here. So yeah, that is it. That is my wrap up and currently reading for May of 2019. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what you read last month, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.